Um, we're going to speak about just basically, the same agenda that we have for the town halls, which is what's any type of major stuff really accomplished over the last week. So this week we're going to speak about, well, we'd have liked to speak about the 2 events that we hit, but the team is still in Jakarta, so I guess we can get those updates next week. But the team has finished road tripping in NFT Australia. So Ken will give us a nice little update how that went. How does that look for the future of Web3? How does it look for the future of the project? So that would be some nice updates to get. We'll also be speaking about December. What does that mean for us as a project? Just some general discussion or questions and answer session that we normally have. So today hopefully should be a short one, and then 2 hours later I'm still here. Fuck. I'm playing badminton, I know, man. I know. Shills, glad to see you here, brother. Dan, Flexible G, the legend Joms. Oh man, I miss you guys from Philippines. Glad to have you guys here. JT, hello. Yeah, so we'll just wait a couple more minutes, see if anyone else joins in. I can say some stuff, but I choose not to. But at least in the next soon, maybe as soon as a week and a half, may see something. I can further not deny it or further not confirm it. Maybe you can.
Alright, that's usually about the time the fan pops in, spills the beans. So we'll wait.
So let's mention something.
Main reason Sean not joining this course is that
Fusion is coming up.
so he can talk. So we're occupying him in the real life stuff.
That's why we sent him to those things. We knew that there was some important stuff.
Very smart.
And we decided to send him away. Yeah. Maybe that's why the attendance for the town halls are so low. They know Shanna's not going to be here for leaks. Oh man. Yeah, let's talk about Wicco. So there's also a time factor involved, right? That I think there's a bonus for like the first 10 minutes after a post goes live. And with that, you have the ability to get a little extra points for that. But so we have been giving an update on Shuffle Bay. I see Wicco posted a screenshot. Has been going really well. Both Sav and Gert will follow up now into getting the first rounds of winners, right? So just to reiterate, the first winner gets a choice of 3 whitelists of their choice. The second winner gets 2. The third winner gets 1. Winners 4 to 10 get 1 whitelist picked for them. And the first 50 gets a Jira X allocation, 5% of their points. So we're pretty excited to see how this goes, and we're going to have more stuff like this in the future. This is something definitely we are going to look into it. It can be weekly, right? We're thinking about weekly. We will see how it goes. If it becomes too burdensome, we could go bi-weekly. So it doesn't become too much, right? Because there are important stuff coming that we want to make sure that everyone's incentivized to be active with. And this is for our Jira Vox holders, right? This is their way of getting into the ecosystem, with the Jirax. Yes, sure. Every week on a Sunday it resets. So we would have the opportunity there to pick it from there. Yeah. Okay, I guess we can answer a few questions. Let's give everyone all 10 minutes to come in. Frankie Bakes, how are you, man? Feel free to chime in on the chat, or if you want to jump in the voice. I really like to get to know you guys a little more, especially our Gen 2 holders. I think I have a pretty clear idea for all our Gen 1 holders. We've been in the bar holes for months on end. I think we really know everyone a lot more. Adis, no, it's linked to Twitter, right? So once you put your Twitter, you don't even have to join in the app to do the share and retweets and these type of things. You can do it straight on Twitter. That's awesome, man. Grocery shopping. See if they accept Jirax at the cashier. You never know. Oh man. Have you connected your Twitter account to it, Adis? Maybe that could be the reason why. So maybe look into it and see how it goes. This week I found a couple of cool things, right, for you sports enthusiasts amongst us. You guys may have known this from before, but I found it to be pretty cool. I found 2 betting sites using crypto. It's pretty cool, I must say. It took me a while to understand it, but I see as well Sherbert, which is an NFT project, has the same interface. So it's glad to see that we have some projects in the space that's putting some ground into it. So you guys can look into that if you guys are sporting fans, and especially with the World Cup. It's pretty cool. You may get a 2x flip from games rather than NFTs these days. So it's just found that pretty cool to see. So we're talking on Shuttle Bay. I have to like with you twice to get the points, and then work on Twitter on the True Shuttle app. Oh, I don't know. We can bring it up with the team. Definitely. You can see if anybody else has that. I see we have a new guy coming, Forza. Hey, Forza. Thanks for joining the Town Hall. Feel free to jump in on the chat, or say something, or just let everyone know what you're up to. We're just giving a couple more minutes for everyone, whoever wants to join in before we start. Today is going to be a small one. It's not going to be too hardcore, because December is going to be a full month of December for us, so we want to leave some rooms for that. Just to give everyone a quick update on our favorite community manager, right? Jay got himself a little injury. So they had to take him to the hospital. He's fine now. His hand was broken, right? And he made sure to say that it was doing an activity he was doing while sober. So there's no FUD for the project, right? But he's okay, so he'll be leaving Jakarta to go back to Australia soon. But just, as you go through the recovery, just keep him in your mind and keep him in your prayers. Don't leak update to buy my second Gen 2. I should flip. Don't worry, okay, it'll be for the next meeting. I'm not going to go too much into Fusion today. We have some pretty cool ideas being discussed around it, and it's going to happen before the year is done. Don't worry about it. So those are things that we can definitely look forward to. This week we started a beta launch of something that's going to be here as well in the month of December. I'm not going to say what it is. So with that, we're testing it out to make sure the MVP works, and we're going to have that available for the community members in the month of December. Right. These Evolve updates, there's a lot to update on it, but it's not the right medium for it in PG, right? And I just want to clarify, like, what's the relationship, right? So PG, this is not a PG product, right? This is a PG invested product, like how we invest into Treeverse or Infinity Studios or one of the other teams. So that team is a team of its own, right? We have a hand in the voice of it, but it's its own team and its own actionable team. There's some cool stuff that to me is pretty awesome. I am a very instrumental part of that team. And the direction that they're taking is pretty unique because it's about breaking those barriers, right? So those are things that they're going to have much more updates on soon. It's not something that's going to be done before the year done. Yeah, it's not art meta, right? I can tell you it's a utility-based project, and utility that we're exploring has never been done in the space. And it's more around non-Web3 utility, right? So that's my little leak there. But I won't get too much into Evolve today. They will have its own time and space for that. Yeah, so again, just to get everyone up to speed, we're speaking today about what happened over the last week, what the team has been working on that they're ready to share and announce. So this week we intend to speak about what's, the team has done a road trip, right? We have sent a substantial amount of team members to NFT Fest Australia. In there, Shan did a couple speeches as the project lead for PG. We networked a bit, and Ken will go more into that. And then straight from there, we went to Jakarta. We were, again, panelists of discussions in a blockchain event. The team should be leaving Jakarta. They only spent like 3 or 4 days, so they're taking the time to network, meet some holders, and just broaden the horizons in the space. So Ken will give an update on that. Yeah. So Ken, you want to take it away from there?
Yeah, thanks, Amresh. So this past Wednesday and Thursday, the four of us, Sean, myself, who are both based in Melbourne, G came down from Sydney, and Josh down from Brisbane, from the Sunshine Coast, for what looks to be one of the bigger NFT events in Australia. For this event, we became sponsors of the event, and what came along with that was the PG branding being used across all of the kind of plaques and billboards that were put up around the inside of the theater, and I guess on the socials as well. So that I think that helped to bring some attention to the project. And I think what we realized going into this was that although PG is a very well-known project in the space, it isn't that well known that a number of us are based in Australia. So people don't really associate PG as being, and I'm not saying we're an Australian project, but with kind of quite a lot of Australian representation. And what we wanted to achieve by going to NFT Australia in Melbourne was to let people in the Australian space know that we're here, we're a force to be reckoned with, and there are quite a few Australian-based projects that were represented, including PA, Psychedelics Anonymous, Lazy Lions, Deadfellas, and kind of big representation from Nouns. So I think that was one of the things we wanted to have accomplished going into it, and I think Sean did a big and a really good job representing us on a bunch of Twitter spaces going into it, and throughout just kind of doing a really good job of representing PG and the brand in the NFT space in Australia.
Could you go into Ken, why branding as or having a strong base in Australia is important for the project, and what have your experience in there shown us?
Yeah, okay. So the space in Australia is reasonably strong. So kind of touching upon those few projects that have done well and have become somewhat big brands in this space. I think because we weren't well known as having strong representation in Australia, it means that at least from a holder base here, we don't have as many Australians as we could. And going forwards, us being here, us having holder events and interacting with people at these sorts of venues, whether it's in Melbourne, Sydney, or elsewhere in Australia, I think it'll allow us to bring in kind of more and more holders who are based in Australia, which we can interact with on a more easily. And a good example of which was the newest Gen 1 holder who's come into the chat today. So I don't have her Discord ID off the top of my head, but this was a person that Sean networked with while at the NFT Fest in Melbourne, and she's the founder of a project called Labor X. And through that interaction is how she decided that she wanted to become a holder, and she purchased just yesterday, right? Not a day or two after the event completed.
Right. And what, like, coming from the interactions that you guys have, like, what do you see to be one of the most talking points about our project that we have been actively working on, or what has been one of the common consensus as a project that people speak about?
Well, I'd say first of all that I think Sean did a really good job on the two panels that he was on. So he was on, first of all, a panel talking about what being a founder is like in this space. And on that panel, he was joined by the founder of Lazy Lions, as well as the founder of Fusion XYZ. And they talked about a number of things, but I think in particular, Sean was commenting on how crazy the space is and how hard everyone works, but how he never imagined that a year ago, the kind of interactions he would be having as a result of being a part of this project, and how proud he is to do that. So a couple of examples he mentioned was working with the Audi team, which was a Launchpad consultancy project, working with Frederick Arnault as part of Ninetales, and artists like Lil Baby and DJ Khaled, and that how cool that was. And there was that, and then the second panel, which was talking about self-custodying your assets, and I think Sean made a lot of very strong points there too. And I think because of the thoughtfulness that he brought, and I think one of the reasons why I got into this project in the first place was just the nature of the kind of topics he speaks to, which really goes to show that he is a thought leader in this space. And whenever he talks, people listen, and that's why these town halls tend to be so well attended, because he always has something interesting to say.
Awesome. And so while we have you here, if anyone has any questions for Ken based on the event, the NFT Fest Australia, just chime in. Meanwhile, I'll just keep on asking questions so that there's the benefit for the rest of the community as well. What about the space, Ken? We're in the height of the bear market. Was it well attended? What was the market sentiment there? What does the future of NFTs look like?
Yeah, good question. So the event was sold out, very well attended. I would say the interactions that we had on the ground was with more people in other projects, right? There were some people who are collectors and investors, but I'd say the majority of my interactions were people who were part of other projects, who are founders, who are builders, etc. And what I could tell you was that there was a lot of vibrance, a lot of excitement, and that the people here are fully invested and committed to making this space a success. And I think this was one of the main objectives that we had going into the event, and one of the benefits of us being a sponsor was we got to set up a space where we had some tables and a couch, and on the tables we had some merch that we made. We had some hats, t-shirts, tote bags, stickers, etc. And we set up also, along with that, our kind of launchpad deck and a little bit about our project. And I think through that, we had a lot of people come approach us and ask a lot of questions. People who are interested in consultancy and launchpad services, people who are interested in what our project was about, and a lot of fruitful conversations that I think will lead to potentially partnerships that can come in the future, and potentially people who might bring us business in the future as well. So, I think that's a great benefit of these sorts of events, as well as kind of the relationships that you build with other projects. And I think Sean, he spent a lot of time with other founders, so I think there's a lot of value add for the team and for us to be going around to events like this.
Gotcha. And my next question is that, it's a predominantly Australian founders event, right? So, have you seen much innovation on the space? Have you seen that the space itself is innovating things that sometimes NFT Twitter just shows us the same recycled project just with different artwork? Were there any of those types of conversations, or did you come across any new founders that are building some cool stuff that the space can all benefit from?
Good question. There are definitely a bunch of interesting talks, and unfortunately I didn't get to attend too many of them. I was kind of too busy shilling and pitching our own project to be listening to everyone else talk about theirs. But I guess just as an example, there's the kind of Bricktopians project, and there was a talk between him and Takoa, and they're kind of just talking about the challenges of being a founder and how you deal with the stress, the pressure, and the FUD that comes along with it. And I think in particular they've done some pretty novel things with what's it called, Bricktopians, and kind of moving into the more digital sort of space, and how he sees that as potentially being the future for NFT projects, and how they can bring utility to holders and also raise revenues for the project. Just kind of one example, and unfortunately, like I said, I didn't get too much opportunity to be talking to people about their projects. It was more me talking about our project and how we can help them.
Yeah, gotcha. And it reminds me of that saying, right? Like, everyone wants to be a founder until they are a founder, right? And if everyone here that has aspirations of building your own project in the future, or having a unique narrative or unique value prop to bring to the space, you have to be prepared psychologically for what that means as well, right? Having an entire market, I'm seeing some project founders here, right? Like guys like Sherlock Holmes. Having your project, it really shows that yes, you have to deliver, but you're in a space that doesn't sleep. You're in a space that always requests more. And having that ability to factor that in from now goes a long way, because sometimes you're just not mentally prepared for it. And that takes a significant toll. And coming from a project team like us, have been part of this project from the very beginning, I can tell you it took a toll from us as well, right? And not just the founders of Shan and Jamie, but we all believe the project is ours, and we all believe that we have a value add to contribute, and we all take the psychological stress that goes along with it, right? The fact that holders are here, we have a community to sustain, we have a community that wants more. It's nice that these are the topics being talked about, because these are topics that founders don't really want to discuss, because they're so afraid that people view it as that they're rugging their project, or they're just not ready for that aspect of things. But it's nice to know, because it helps cultivate your decision into either launching your own project or working with projects in the future. So it's nice that these things are being talked about in the real world. Sometimes those messages can't get across in the online world, but at least it's something that's being chatted about. And then secondly as well, that the aspect of the space itself requires, it's something that we have had discussions multiple times throughout town halls. We have it as part of our chats. The financial utility of the projects is what everyone's here for, right? The ability to buy a certain asset and sell it for a profit. And too many times you have seen good projects with innovation and good products fail because it's a long-term hold, or it's a level of innovation that sometimes is just a little too early for the space. So that's also some things to factor in as you make these decisions of going into your own projects. So let that be a guiding light in terms of committing your time and resources into launching your own project, right? Don't make rash decisions. Don't be attracted by just the bright lights, right? The popularity of being a founder, or what you think is the financial gains of being a founder. We could tell it from our experience here, right? Most of the project team has come from having their own business, being very, comfortable financially. I can tell you, I had my own business for years. This is the most amount of work that I've ever put into any project, right? But it's the ability to do things on a global scale that drives some members of the team, the ability to create impact in a new changing technology, the ability the decisions we make as a significant project in this space becomes a standard for the future of Web3. These are the things that, drives the team forward and pushes us to do new innovation and new aspects of it. So I want to... Tata, what the fuck was that? So I want to open up this space, everyone except Tata. If anyone has any questions, or anyone has, just active contributions to this. To this conversation, any prospective founders or any prospective persons that want to launch their own projects in the future, this is a nice discussion to jump in at. If you guys have seen my space last week, I'm gonna call people up, so don't be that guy. So feel free to jump in, and ask any questions before we move on. So while that's happening, I guess we can continue our discussion about it, right? Now,
Yeah. I guess kind of while we're on the topic of founders and how hard it is sometimes, kind of the talk that Takoa had was quite enlightening, and I think the space has been really hard on him, and I think he's found it very challenging mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as he went from being kind of this person who was super successful, and I think, as he put it, had experienced exponential growth in his follower count and his influence in such a short period of time, right? And you get this tremendous high from this kind of very quick success, but it's very difficult to sustain that, and any one little mistake can upend that very quickly. And once that happens, like, the space just isn't mature enough to allow that to happen. And when it does happen, for founders to be able to kind of correct those mistakes and come back again. So unlike in Web 2, when founders or people who make companies screw up, then the company may go bankrupt, but they can start a new one. But in this space, that it's very difficult to do that sometimes, especially if you are docs and you keep your identity. So I got to know to go a little bit this trip, and we're all human, right? And sometimes shit happens that we can't control, and we should kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, and that we're all trying our best.
It pertains to a couple different things, right? So from a branding perspective, right, that's the risk associated when your brand is you, right? As much as Shan is the brand of PG, there's still a piece of PG that's still uniquely PG's own. And the fact is that we all, as you said, rightfully said, man, I can't stress this enough, we're all human. Not every decision we make will be successful, right? But you just have to have better good days than bad. And sometimes that also means not being as emotionally tied to your product or your offering, where you can't admit that it's not working. And most times what you see is that people, something is not working. The common human trait to go with it is to put your head down and make it harder, right? And go towards whatever you need to make it successful. And sometimes, as much as that's what is being publicized, and people are telling you that's the best way. Sometimes it's also important to pivot quickly, right? That's a very, very big trait of what it is that you need to have as a founder, right? So again, anybody listening here, that's the risk associated sometimes when you are the talismanic force of the project, because whatever you do impacts the project in a strong strategic way. And having a mitigation plan or having a team to benefit with you, right, goes a long way. And you look at big projects, right? One of the big, as Ken rightfully said, the space hasn't matured enough where brands can exist on itself individually, right? You look at any big project in the space, the only one that comes to mind that has done it successfully is Yuga Labs, but that also because they came at a time that was different from most projects, right? But if you look at the significant more successful projects in the space, there's always that talismanic figure, whether it be Psychedelic Anonymous, PG, Lamaverse, you name it. There's always that founder that has a personality, that founder that has conviction, that founder is a thought leader, and that's something that you have to be aware of, right? Now, growing brands outside of that is significantly harder now in the space because of the implications of not being doxed and strategically trying to let your brand have its identity of its own. But it's something at least to consider as you make these decisions. So I think it's very, very valid, and there are ways to work around it. It's going to be harder. It's going to be significantly tougher. Please do that type of research before you're making those types of decisions. Yeah, I can tell you from our perspective, not every idea we have has worked out, right? But the main goal is that, as I rightfully said, is that to just have better good days than bad, have better successful ideas than bad ones, right? And just acknowledge and be accountable for the mistakes you make, and let that shine through. And constant communication helps it, right? When we started, coming out from in this September, when we make a decision, okay, the space requires us to communicate more and be very clear and concise with what we're saying, and we decided to do our weekly town halls, right? The community is not shell-shocked with something, but we can make them as part of the process every single week. This is what the team has done. This is what we have accomplished. This is something that we have been working on, but hey, we didn't think it works well, so we're going to pivot it to this. We're going to change this aspect of it. And we learn along the way. And I made a joke last week. It's just that you're right. People are learning along the way, but we're not taking people funds to do it. Right, we're making all of these clear-cut decisions beforehand, before investing into it, and spending time and resources into it, before publicly announcing it. And yeah, so those are the kind of stuff that at least we're doing on our side, right, to just protect these types of things. Yeah, so those are the kind of stuff that's ongoing.
Yeah, I think that was kind of one of the conclusions that came out of that talk, is just the importance of transparency and communication, and over communicating is generally better than under communicating in most respects.
Yeah, and then you have to balance that now with impact.
Yeah, well, at least hopefully to engender that trust between the team and
Yeah,
the
for sure,
holders
for
of a
sure.
project.
All right, let me see if I can call some people up. In here, Maverick, right? Just to kickstart things off. If you guys have anything to contribute to it, feel free to jump in. No? Fair enough. Okay, well, let's continue task scan for that. Some things just to bring up as well that was done this week, right? Domain choice started the registration of domains. We saw a lot of holders were not in the space, right? It's having a decentralized Web3 hosting. So there is a wrapper that they're looking to further develop that, changes from Web 2 browsers to Web 3 browsers. And looking at that type of model, it's pretty early, right? There's not going to be a significant amount of things there, but they're building towards something that will be a force in the future, right? Decentralized domains, decentralized websites, decentralized emails. Right now we're in a discussion with the next team for decentralized emails. These are some unique things that allows, and why we like working with these, if you notice the projects that we have as part that you see us building partnerships with, it's not whitelist partnerships, or it's not, just cosmetic Web3 partnerships, but these are foundational supports that the space requires. So whether it be domain choice today, whether it be a game in the future, whether it be, we had some other things in the past, right? These are things that is going to become prevalent in Web3, whether they are the winners of it or not, but just the opportunity to be part of it adds value, right? You saw us, when you look at like domain choice, for example, or you look at so you look at domain choice, you look at, for example, what we did with the Castle of Riviera, right? Which is, using our Jira tokens on the Solana chain for special in real life opportunities, right? And platforms there. That's the type of relationships that we want to have with projects now. It's not just giving us whitelists. It's about contributing in a meaningful way and opening up these communication channels to our holders for some sort of benefits for our holders themselves, right? So that's something that we will continuously, we have a lot of conversations ongoing as of now, a lot of different projects, but what we want them to do is push the envelope of innovation so that they offer some sort of real benefit to holders, not just, this is to come, this is something that, has opportunity. The fact that, okay, this is what needs to happen. So those are the kind of stuff that we want to have. So this week, I said, was domain choice, right? We also announced our partnership with Colliders, right? The game they're building, the Mosh Pit game. So if you noticed on the server, there's a form to fill out, right? If anybody wants to partake into it. To be honest, it's one of the best games that I've seen in the space so far. I'm not a gamer myself, so I won't be a big, I can't speak on it, right? I'm not that big of a gamer. But in terms of the care and detail to attention is something that I can recognize and I can speak on. And what I've seen from this team that's based out of Argentina, their attention to detail, their aspects of how they have, um, yeah, their love for gaming and their love for aspects of working with us as a project. Like, it was really nice and see that what they value us and what they work in, right? Like, they build. We're the only gold tier sponsorship that have our own character in the game, right? And it's because of their love for what we're doing and what we stand for, right? Comes with some branding opportunities, coming out having our own character in the game, so that wherever whatever audience they attract, our project has standing in there, right? People gets to understand about the projects, understand some sort of, okay, I want to learn more. That's what we have. So that's, I encourage the gamers within the check it out. We're gonna have a team dedicated for that. It's going to be that melee type of game. So that's pretty cool to look at. So we kind of cemented that partnership. We made some posts about it this week as well. We have some stuff coming out. On the topic of gaming as well, we have one of our investment projects, Treeverse, right? They have their tournament game as well coming out in early December. And this one we're pretty excited about because, again, it's the same type of principles, attention to detail, fully functional game. Have some strong onboarded projects. They're taking a very difficult way, which is that, trying to be as bootstrapped as much as possible. The market, the struggles that incurs. But at the end of the day, the team has the relative experience. They have the relative backing, right? They have come from, games like Ken, can you remind me the game that they came from? Remember Assassin's Creed, right? Yeah. So they would have been part of the instrumental team behind Assassin's Creed, so they brought that experience into what they're building, and they brought their lessons learned from that project. So we're pretty bullish on the team itself, and we're betting on the team to deliver something of substance in the space. And they've been the team that has been taking our advice, taking our experience as well of how the space works, how the space will evolve. We're pretty excited for that, so you can look out for some more postings on that coming up this week. And I really urge every member that's here and every Gajira holder to have a look into it, because I'll tell you why. It's, at the end of the day, as an investor into the project, it all concerns us. It'll be from our perspective as, the proxy that allows that investment to happen, but a holder perspective as well, your input is needed, right? Because this impacts where our funds go, this impacts where, what we're investing in. And if you think that, that's Maverick. And so if you think that there's things that we can improve on, things that you think, hey, this looks perfect here, let's look at tapping into this market or tapping into this demographic, feel free to jump in, man. Treeverse has been really, really good with us. They have been really, really taking our advice. And at the same point in time, their expertise and knowledge has gone a long way into making this game what it is today. So have a look at it. I'm going to drop the Twitter handle in the chat here. Right. So look at it. Give them a like. Let them see what we have. And in there you would kind of see what they have been doing and what they have been building. And as I say, it's a fully functional game. We have actually had demos within the team itself. So have a look into it, and see how can get. Wicco, Jamie, you want to answer, because I know you'd have been a pretty instrumental part of those conversations. You want to take a chime on this question by Wicco? Is this game going to be a compete to win?
Yeah, it's pretty much you play the game. There's double tokenomics and things like that. So compete to win is the word, I think. Yeah. So in terms of game development, it's pretty top notch. All right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how the tournament go. As for Jira holders, you can join their competition representing Jira or either you can join us another NFT collection as well. So there's some cool prizes to win and all that. It's gonna be a first-hand experience, and then I believe you also can win whitelist spot for the mint, which is pots, I think. So by combining pots with your existing NFTs, you can have like cool mechas built up and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the big bullish signs that we're excited about as well is that the game is not meant to only be on desktop, right? They're going to go into mobile. They have some nice workarounds with crypto of how they can make that possible. So those are things, when you look at the gaming market, right? And yes, there's the big 5-star games and stuff like that, but the mobile gaming, as simple as it can, is a $1 billion industry. And if they can tap into that in a meaningful way, that's significant amount of revenues in there. Whether it be through in-game purchases or, they have been really focused on building the entertainment aspect of the game. And, once they can tap into that when we get a moment to chat into it, right? A moment to partake in the game, whether it be, while you're there stuck waiting for food or stuck in an airport or just home, just catching up on some stuff before you take a rest. That's usually on your mobile. So, that's one of the things that the team is actively working towards of getting implemented so that, it brings into a much bigger audience that's not necessarily Web3, right? But with some sort of Web3 integration that benefits holders in a meaningful way. So those are stuff that makes it a lot more insightful into why it is that we looked at them as a project to invest in. Again, because of the capabilities of the team and the strong, yeah, exactly, right? Mobile is such an under-tapped market in the space. And it's all about crafting that message really, really good. A big part of it is to make it as entertaining as possible. We're giving him advice in terms of marketing when that time comes. So those are things that we're looking at into as well.
Yeah, I wanna just emphasize more on Collider Crafts game tournament as well. So
Yeah.
from Gojira, PG community, there's opportunity to join. I think I believe 35 members can compete in a game. So it's gonna be like public tournament, but you have to be holder of Collider Craft, right? But for us, we have a chance to get 35 of our members to be in the game. So just give us your, I think there is a form to be filled up. So if you just fill up the form, give us your Discord ID, and if you're interested to join, everyone is welcome. So it has to be PG holder to join the game. So that's pretty much it. The tournament is coming up, I think, very shortly. Let me find the details.
Yeah, the playoffs start tomorrow, and you don't need to own one. But if somebody owns a collider, and it's not gonna play because they don't give a fuck, they can add you. You create an account on their web, and you can play for somebody else.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
as a gold sponsor, we got chance to send in 35 of
35.
our members. So yeah,
35? Okay, cool.
35. Yeah.
Cool.
Just fill up that form. I'm gonna find it.
It starts. I think it starts tomorrow. At
Yeah, one of the questions that Relic had there was it's a melee like first person shooter, right? I suspect it is. Jamie, you have any feedback on that question?
it's a third person shooter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Third person shooter. Okay, gotcha.
I pasted the link for the tournament page.
Perfect. Right, so we will not have a team, right? I'm pretty sure Zero will be involved, as the game is within the team. Yeah, so those are the stuff that has happened this week. And with that, we're trying to do those types of partnerships, arrangements, right? Yeah, right. Go for it, man. Right? Yeah, we want to have the best of the best in here. We demolished DJ Hank last time, and people hasn't seen us as a big gaming community. And if we can show that, hey, we're so much more in PG other than what we have and other than what the space sees, goes a long way. So, feel free to develop a team if you want to create a monkey, if you want to look at leading a team that goes across there to win this shit.
Sure.
Let's get it done.
For sure. No problem.
Join the crew, man, Relic. Join the crew. Now I spend my days just watching good football. Oh man, yeah. So, oh man, I know. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. I see your PFP and I know what you're talking about. My team is playing today. All right, I'm a big Spain supporter, but internally as well, I'm rooting for Argentina. So, yeah. So those are the kind of stuff that's coming up. Let me go into December. December is going to be a big time for us, right? It's Christmas, of course, the end of the year, our 1 year anniversary. So we want to deliver some things, right? So that our holders feel proud of being in part of the community. Yes, we know Fusion is coming up, right? We have some stuff to launch on that soon. There are things that you guys aren't expecting that I'm pretty, we're internally as a team, we're very, very excited about just to see your reactions. And it tapping into some of the things that you guys have been speaking about over the last couple months. And we really think that we nailed some of these things. So, we want to show you guys, right? One of the things that we're actively addressing is access to information, right? So we are testing right now something that's coming up soon where you guys can see that, and it's the first step into bridging that access to information that we hope will be continuing. Of course, it's not the final end product, just like what we have normally been doing. We launch a beta, see how it goes, see how it works, and then we constantly continue building on it. So that's something that we're kind of excited by. Even for Fusion as well, right? There's some things that we're pretty excited by as well. That's, I won't say what the community has been saying, but I think that we found a really, really good tap into it of what you guys will feel proud of as holders, and see how it goes. So yes, we're having those discussions. We're continuing that aspect of it, and we'll have something soon for you guys to see what we're building on. And yeah, that's coming along. So those are things that December is going to be a big one. It's the end of the quarter for us. We're going to deliver on some things that we said we were going to deliver on, and we're going to have those things up. Yeah, Jamie, you want to tackle that question by Ninja?
Sure. Is the Fusion gonna be a separate collection or together? Okay, it's gonna be a separate collection. By Fusion, you're gonna migrate to another ERC 721 20 contract. So yeah, it's gonna be separate.
Yeah, perfect. Ryan, Jira birthday. Yes, we're talking about it, and to be honest, we're kind of afraid, right? Because we want to make it as good as we can, but at the same point in time, there's so many things that's coming out. The team has to be attentive to. So yes, it's something that we're talking about, and we're just trying to cement plans on it and see how it goes. But yeah, man, it's at the end of the day a project that didn't take advantage of the bull in any kind of malicious way by overcharging on their products and pushing innovation on it. And I think we, as a community, we should also feel so proud to know that we lasted this long into the beer with still opportunity to keep on lasting for a couple of years, and still having one of the strongest communities out there, both in terms of NFTs as well as community. I think is a huge win for us, right? And so those are things that we definitely are excited about. That we all should feel proud of, knowing that hardest is behind us, to be honest, right? Shan has mentioned it's not a matter of, if the bull run will come again, it's when the bull run will come again. Because the question I asked recently in a space, right? Everyone's leaving the space, but the technology hasn't changed. Why are you leaving the space? If you're excited by the technology, then technology hasn't changed, but only has gotten better. And now is the time for you to be as most excited as possible. If you think the bad players are leaving and that's what you're excited by, then hell yeah, right? The bad players are here being exaggerated by their malicious ways and their ill intent. But the technology hasn't changed. Blockchain still offers the same utility and still offers exactly, right? Like everyone says the space is leaving. There's something called the fear to greed index, right? I think you guys should research it if you ever get some time. So with that in mind, you understand the cycle that we're in, and with that, it's because the technology hasn't changed and the technology has only gotten better, and it's here for the long run. You see certain chains and certain meme coins and stuff like that. Yeah, thanks for that, Tata. Right? These are things that won't last because there's no utility to add, there's no value added with it, right? But the very basic technology of blockchain and blockchain adoption and Web3 adoption, those are things that hasn't changed at all, has only gotten better. So it's really interesting to see how that takes us moving forward, and we can become excited to see where that goes. Yeah, definitely we're in extreme fear right now. It's that index has to be updated for sure. We're no longer in greed, we're in extremely fear. So exactly. Oh man. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're getting there. Right? FTX has definitely pushed a lot of people out of the space. Even in I'll be honest with you, even in our some of our consultancy projects, it hit some of our partners really hard. Right? They kept their funds in FTX so that they could be safe, and they were misguided. And now and the project doesn't have any type of financial runway to proceed. We have a few projects that were reaching out to us for consultancy and launch padding, and they had to go because they no longer have the funds, and now they have to try to find a way to make it work. And so those kind of things don't only affect. The only reason why I bring it up is because they don't only affect existing projects, but think about that innovator for who has this great idea, saved this money, and now is reaching the point of execution, and now he's halted in the ground and his idea never comes to light because it just doesn't have the funds no more. So those are the kind of things that affects the space, right? And it's unfortunately the negative side of it. So it's what we have to work with, right? Thankfully, we made our decision early on to not keep our funds in centralized exchanges, right? So all our funds in a decentralized way, right? Ken and his team showed the account statements last week, and with that, we are able to circumvent around these issues. But I made a post on it, right? All of the problems the space has encountered over the past year is when people try to take a decentralized system and centralize it for their own personal benefit. And that's where the problems occur, right? Decentralization is a culture of Web3 and it's an instrumental part of the foundations of Web3. And at the same time, it comes with its own faults, right? It comes with its own problems. We're not taking that away, right? We're not taking away that scams still exist and transactions can't be, reversed. But you can't want the benefits of decentralization without acknowledging of the problems with it, right? And of course, over time, it will get better, right? There will be more checks and balances and accountability in the space and accountability throughout. Not just in NFTs, but in Web3, whether it be crypto, NFTs, Web3 adoption, token gating, all of the above. But sometimes these are the unfortunate mishaps that needs to happen for those things to be pushed forward a little more each time. So, we either look at it as the negatives and be like, doom and gloom that the space is losing and everyone's gone and everyone's going to reach the zero and I'm leaving, all of the above. Or we can see the positives of it and ride on the positivity by not just being optimists and optimism around where it goes, but still being realistic with, the fact is that the technology hasn't changed. The fact is that all of these problems the space encountering is not because of the technology, but it's because of bad people. Therefore, good people will push the space forward, and we just have to filter bad people out faster. So those are kind of things that, internally we have had discussions about, and, because of course it affects every one of us, right? Not just, a Gen 1 holder or a Gen 2 holder, but we are all holders ourselves. We all invested into multiple NFT projects. So macro conditions definitely affect us. And we also have to be aware and cognizant of that in making our decisions as we go along. So, those are things that we internally talk about and we always keep in past. The team speaks every single day, whether it be on something we're working on, a partnership that's coming true, whether it be internally. So every Sunday before the town hall, we have an executive meeting where we discuss, what the town hall is going to be about, what we have worked on the past week and all of the above. Every Wednesday as well, we have a second meeting with the entire team where we discuss any problems as part of our sprints, anything that we can do innovating, or we can do to help push things forward a little more. So those are things that happens in the background. So just to give you guys a little sneak behind the curtains of what happens on the background, those are things that happen. So yeah, I think that has been our kind of weekly recap. It's not as long as the lot of town halls, but still as impactful because you guys get a little intro into what we have been doing and what we have been, what was the sprint like for the last week, and giving a reporting structure of what that was. So much love to the team that went across to NFT Australia. Ken gave his nice little introduction there of how impactful, and we of course want to do some more things there in the future. There's right now Sav is in Basel, right? NFT Basel, and Shan and some members of the team is in Jakarta. And we'll be looking into more of that. Maverick, you'll be happy to know that the topic of the US has come up. Yes, I know, man. So the topic of the US has come up, so it's something that we're looking at in the new year. Having some presence there, speaking to holders there, just bridging the communication gap with the Western side of the world. So, whether it be the US, hopefully the Latin America and the Caribbean, and Canada, we do want to have some representation across there. Yeah, so, as just to give you guys update, G broke his hand in Jakarta in a totally sober scenario, right? So it's not a drunken escapade, thank God. But just shit happens, and he broke his hand, but he's well now, right? We spoke to him. He had a no, that's not the story we're sticking with. We're sticking with that someone, we're not going to say from Nanoverse team, but someone tried to take a swing at Shan, and G jumped him and saved and floored the guy, and then in flooring the guy, 2 buildings broke down, and G just stood in the path of a falling child and saved the child. And in that process, while saving the child, he broke his hand. That's the story we're sticking with, right? So we must commend Hero G for saving that child and sacrificing his hand in the way. But it was not an arm wrestling, wink wink, right? It was not Sunday arm wrestling. But he's fine. We spoke to him even up to a couple hours ago. He had surgery already, so everything is fine. They have mended his bone. Sometimes a clean break is much better than a partial break or a fracture. So the clean break, they're able to mend it, and he has some metal in his hand now. So you can save a child for the future, right? That's what we're hoping for. So yeah, so he's fine. He'll be back home in Australia soon to go through some recovery. But of course, please keep him in your thoughts and your prayer. for a speedy recovery, because it's G, it's one of us. So yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so any questions, anyone else? Right, we spoke about a couple things today. Just to give you guys just a recap, we spoke about NFT Fest, right? The team is doing like a roadshow to talk about our project, let our project be known. Ken spoke about not just being known in the NFT space, but Australia being a very hub of a lot of NFT enthusiasts. We wanted to brand ourselves as an Australian-based project in some way, or at least having a lot of Australian support, so that we can, improve our project by having the right people here, looking into buying into the project, looking into help developing through our launchpad and consultancy. So, those are things that the team has been doing through a roadshow, right? So right now they're in Jakarta doing the same. Shan was a panelist speaker in a couple of those events that took place both in Australia and Indonesia. So that's one of the things we talked about today. We spoke about our partnerships over the last week. We spoke about Kaleidos Craftwork, domain choice, the benefits to holders there. Or we spoke about Treeverse coming up, right, for the game tournament that's coming up in there. We want to have a team dedicated for that as well. So we spoke about those things. Tata, is Plutoverse a consultancy project? Yes, that's right. Right, it's a consultancy project. We're guiding them into what's the right strategy of how to deliver their message across, when to deliver their message across. We're helping them craft a better copy and artwork for their marketing. So that's what like those things look like. So yes, Plutoverse is one of our consultancy projects. A very good set of guys, very innovative, very, very, again, attention to detail, big part of it as well. So those are some things that we covered today as well. I'll leave it open again for any questions about what's coming up, or any questions you may have from the last town hall or this week. You may have seen something in the space or seen something on Twitter that you want some clarification on. Feel free to jump in. Right, opening it up to anyone here that wants to say anything. Thanks, baby G. Shetwin, Shulinik, Tish. If you guys have anything to say, just jump in. Feel free to have a discussion. If not, we'll kind of wrap it up early. I know, Relic, I know. Yeah. That's okay, man. All right, so let's take a thanks Tata. All right, guys, so let's wrap this up. Thanks for coming out today. Go enjoy your football. There's some big matches on today. It's Belgium, Morocco that's taking place right now. Two good teams, and then of course my team is playing next, Spain, Germany. So excited to see how that goes. So thanks everyone for coming. See you guys next week. Yeah, I'm a Spain supporter, man. I'm a Spanish supporter all the way. Alright guys, have a good one. See you guys next week.
Take care, bro. Bye-bye.
Bye.